Hello everybody, it's jrobichess. Today we're going to be taking a look at another Grandmaster Chess Blunder, and as I was looking through some games I came across this game, and it was played between Anatoly Karpov, who was playing black, and Boris Spassky, who was playing white. Now in this position Spassky had the advantage, and his next move however was a blunder, so I'm going to go ahead and show you the next move and take a moment and see if you can find the mistake, but more importantly I'd like you to do a little bit more than that. I'd like you to take a look at what Spassky was trying to plan and see if you can come up with what was the anchor piece in his whole plan. So anyway, the move that Spassky played was rook over now to g4. Now if we take a look at this move, obviously we have a whole bunch of pressure here lined up on g6. We have the rooks here on g3 and g4. We have the queen beautifully placed on d3, eyeballing that same square, and our dark square bishop of course is carving along this diagonal to launch an attack against the king as well. But nonetheless this was a mistake. Now you probably can see why it was a mistake, but like I said, let's try to do this a little bit more in depth and see if you can come up with what was the anchor piece in the attack. So go ahead and pause the video, take as long as you want, try to think through the series of moves if black misses the blunder, and we'll take it from here. So instead of looking at the blunder right away, what I'm going to do is I'm going to talk a little bit about what would have happened if Karpov would have played a mistake. Say for example queen to d7. Now queen to d7 is going to let Spassky come crashing into the position now by taking the pawn here on g6 with the rook with check. So black has to do something about that. If black moves the king off now to f8, Spassky can continue the attack by hitting the check now with the dark square bishop on h6. So the king is in check. Now if the rook were to capture in this position, it would be a huge mistake for black because white can simply come down and is checkmate. So that's definitely not a good move. In fact, the only good move in this position is to block with the bishop here on g7. Now from here Spassky can capture that bishop with check, and when the king moves over now to e8, Spassky can just take the rook here on e6. When black recaptures, the rook on h8 falls, and black is just in a hopelessly lost position. But let's go back here to the initial rook capture. If black decides to do something differently, like for example capturing with the f pawn in this position, while white can simply just come crashing in with the queen now, hitting a check. All of these squares are taken away from the black king, so the only one that it has really is f8, at which point now this bishop comes in and once again hitting the check on h6. The check must be blocked. Queen takes with check again, king peels off, and it's pretty much game over. Because once the king comes back now to f7, it's just checkmate here with the queen on f8. So it was an interesting position. Like when Spassky moved his rook over here to g4, there definitely was some attacking possibilities, barring the blunder. And let's get into that blunder now. So Spassky moved his rook over to g4. He's playing against Anatoly Karpov, one of the former world chess champions. Well, actually both men are former world chess champions. But he just made a crucial mistake in this position, because from here all black has to do is hit that check now on e1, and when the king moves over to h2, the bishop falls on c1. White has no compensation, and that bishop was pretty much the anchor piece in the attack, because if you remember when we look back through the lines, a lot of the times the bishop had to take that pawn on h6 to get the king into more of an ideal position for a crushing attack. So by making that initial blunder, of course, Spassky has completely given up the piece, because once this rook comes down and hits that check, well, there it goes. Like, I mean, what's white going to be able to do to stop that? Nothing. He just has to move the king off now to h2, and there goes that very important bishop sitting on c1. Once again, white has absolutely no compensation. You know, and even from this position, if Spassky were to fight on, let's say Spassky wanted to continue on at the attack, because, you know, you think about Spassky, he's played people like Bobby Fischer and Karpov and many of the greatest chess players in the world. Surely he must have thought about, you know, losing that bishop on c1 with that simple check. Unfortunately he didn't. That's why we call it a blunder. But if he would have tried to fight on from this position, for example by taking the pawn on g6 with the rook, well, black simply just captures with the f pawn, and even though the queen is allowed to come in with a check, there's just no compensation. The king is going to be fine in this position, and white is just down a lot of material and is in a hopelessly lost position. So it was interesting nonetheless, and you know, it's good to know that, you know, grandmasters make mistakes too, and I know that it happens a great deal at the amateur level play, and you don't see it quite as much at the professional level play, but it still happens, and you know, that's part of the appeal and the allure of chess. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed the video. I know it's been a while since I made one. Thanks to everybody who posted comments on my Blitz video there when I was just coming out of my cold. And I'm looking forward to making some more videos here in the future. I got some time coming up, and actually got a new idea for an opening video that I'm going to be doing on an opening that I've kind of worked on myself. So I'm going to throw that out there and tell you exactly kind of, why I came up with it and what my thought process was, and I'm going to throw it out to you guys to take a look at it and see what you think. So take care, hope you enjoy the video, and we'll see you next time.